have done so many applications in 2025. In fact, 2025 is the year that I did the most application by far. And some of these roles I was interviewed for, and one of them is the I beg your pardon, program manager role. I've done some applications on project management, but for this video, I'm talking about the program manager role, the interview questions that I had. So if you have any upcoming project manager or program manager role, you can have an idea of possible questions that you can be asked. Okay, I did my research before my interview. I watched some videos on YouTube, some were helpful, but I realized that I saw most project manager role questions and not a lot of program manager roles. They are quite similar, but yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Here I have a list that I'll be reading out to you guys. I will not be giving you the exact answer that I gave in my interview because at this point, I still don't have any feedback from them as to the result of that interview. So I don't want to give you guys a this or that, and then it's not the best approach. So my suggestion to you is that you do your research. You can watch other videos. There are professionals in this field who have videos on YouTube that you can do. But this video is just to give you a real example or real examples of possible questions you can be asked, okay? Now, there were quite a lot. There were over 10 questions. So sit down and relax. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel as I'll be sharing my journey and, of course, the feedback I get whenever I get it. Now, the first question, which falls under decision making, is what is that one decision you took on a project or program that you regret? I wish I could tell you guys the response that I gave because some of these questions took me by surprise, but I also don't want to give you guys something wrong. But this is something you can use to have an idea of what you can be asked. This is very similar to a question that asks you, what is your weaknesses, right? People are more common or people are more familiar with them being asked, what is that weakness that you have? What is it that you want to change? But this one is, what is that one decision you took on a project or program that you now regret? Now, the next question is, what will your co-workers say about you? This one has to do with your interpersonal skills. So you want to talk about your strength in interpersonal skills for this one. The third question is, what is your best leadership skill? Give us that one skill that you use in leadership that makes you good. What is that thing that what is that attribute that you have that makes you a good leader? Is it coaching or whatever it is? You can just find a way to give the best response to this answer. Number 4, how does being a data analyst translate to you being a good program manager? Now, backstory, I'm a data analyst with experience in data analysis. My last role was as a DevOps engineer, and I have some other experience or other roles that I've worked as well. But this question was asked in relation to my being a data analyst. How does being a data analyst translate to you being a good program manager? Yeah, I talked about my skills in data analysis, of course, but I also talked about my experience in handling projects and tried to tie it all together. Okay, now the next question is, seeing as you have never worked in this industry, why do you believe you would do well and how do you intend to adapt? Now, this industry that I'm talking about is the aerospace industry. I have never worked there, but I've also worked in an industry that is highly regulated just as much, which is the oil and gas industry. So I try to tie this to show them the relationships with the industry that I've worked with and this industry, and show them that I'm able to adapt to this role very, very easily. Okay. In your next part, this is the sixth question. In your past role, how have you used the lean methodology? Lean methodology, if you're even going for project manager role or program manager role, you already know what the lean approach is. And if you do not, you would want to start researching and doing your study when you are applying to this kind of roles. Whatever you're thinking about projects, you want to know the methodologies and the approaches, because these companies can use different approaches and they can ask you about that. Sometimes it's mentioned in the job description, it wasn't mentioned in this job description. Okay, so they just asked me straight, in your past role, how have you used the lean methodology? And so I talked about the different projects that I've done in the past and related it to the lean approach, or the one that we use the lean approach for. Okay, next question, 7. How would you handle vendor-supplier relationships when they are not around you and sometimes in remote places? Here is just testing your relationship management. They want to know how you're able to relate to the vendors or suppliers even if they are not in your vicinity or your location. If these people are in remote areas, how do you do your communication? How do you do your follow-ups with them? Next question. How do you decide on what to do and how would you multitask? Here they want to know how you set priorities. How do you approach tasks? What is it? Do you do like how do you analyze the risks involved? Of course, I talked to them about the different tools that I use in prioritizing, the different metrics that can be used in approaching tasks. And yes, so they gave me a follow-up question to this particular question. And it was, what tools do you use in your task to prioritize? I'd gone through the job description for this role, so I know that one of the tools they wanted to know if you can use is the MS Microsoft Project. So I mentioned it as one of the roles or one of the tools that I will use that I use when I'm prioritizing or when I'm working on tasks. And yeah, so next question is, tell us a time you handled conflict between two colleagues and how you went about it. Here is testing your conflict management. So you can tell them a story about the time where you settled whatever it is you settled between your colleagues and how you approached this and how you resolved this. Okay. Next question, is there a time you used good judgment to handle a situation and what was the outcome of this? So when is that time or whatever it is you want to think of something, when you're in interviews sometimes you don't know what to say because you're nervous and all, but you can take some time to think about it and come up with a situation where you use good judgment, where you use common sense to resolve a conflict or resolve a situation. It could be something that happened between your colleagues in your office or something that happened with a customer or a client or whatever it is, but just think of something. Next question. This is the last question on my list. I think I even had more questions, but these are the ones that I've written down. So the last question I have is, you have told us about how you can analyze data, but how do we know that you're able to extract this data from our systems before proceeding to analyze it? Because I had gone through the job description before the interview, of course, I knew the systems that they wanted you to have experience in or have skills in. So I told them that yes, I can analyze data, but even before getting to the analysis part, I'm able to work with your systems. The systems that you have mentioned are things that I have experience in, and even the one that I have no experience in, I related it with something that I had worked with before and told them that they had no reason to worry because I'll be able to get this data and then analyze it. As a data analyst, I even went further to tell them that not only will I analyze it, I'm able to visualize this how you want to fit different audience, right? So visualization is another thing. I tried to put in some things they didn't ask for so that they can know that I'm a well-rounded data analyst. Okay. Then they asked me, the other questions they asked me were like common questions. Are you comfortable with presenting to stakeholders? This, of course, I said yes to because I am comfortable with presenting to stakeholders. Presentation is something that I can do and I'm comfortable doing actually. Yes, so these are the questions that I was asked. The other things were just minor things that were not really for the role, but just getting to know me and all that. But that's how this interview went. I cannot wait to get a feedback from this because honestly, I'm getting tired of job applications and interviews. So I just want something positive to come and come fast. I know that you're also doing your applications and you're hopeful that your next interview gives you a positive response. So I'm giving you these questions to help you prepare. If it's a program manager role or a project manager role, I hope that these questions are helpful. If you have other questions that you think come to mind that will help somebody who is going through this phase, please put in the comment section as it will be helpful. I also need to mention that there are lots and lots of videos that you can watch on YouTube to prepare you. And if you're nervous, you want to run pre-interview practice or test in front of your mirror, in front of your camera, just to get comfortable. Nerves are something that always shows up, at least for me, right? Even if I practice, but practice makes it better. I wish you guys all the best. Fingers crossed for what this response will be. And I hope that you join this channel so that I'll be able to share my good news when it comes. I'm hopeful that this will be good news. So I hope that you subscribe, turn on your notification so that you don't miss that video when it comes. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye for now.